Hello, friends. It's Nancy with Astrology and Angel Mediums. And today I am back with another tarot educational video to kind of go over the energy of what the wands bring into the story of tarot. So I've been trying to cover all of the different suits slowly, and then just trying not to make these too long. I got a little too wordy with the swords, which is very appropriate. So I'm going to talk about the wands and how they relate to what's going on and what they add to tarot's like just overall story. I'm going to just zoom in a little bit. All right. And as always, I'm still using these Learning Tarot card deck from Witchy Cauldron. It's not sponsored or anything like that. I bought this with my own money. I think it's a great deck for those that are maybe struggling to connect to their tarot decks, especially if there's no words on it or anything like that, or if you're not super familiar with the meanings of the cards. So let's start off. So just like all of the other suits, we're going to start off with the aces. And this is a card of inspiration. Then we move on to the 2, which is choice. Maybe I should have turned these around. And then we move on to foresight with the 3 of wands. Then we have the 4 of wands bringing community. The 5 of wands brings conflict. The 6 of wands brings recognition. The 7 of wands talks about standing your ground. The 8 of wands talks about action. 9 of wands is about resilience. The 10 of wands is burden. And then we move on to the page, which of wands, which is all about enthusiasm. The Knight of Wands talking about passion. The Queen of Wands talking about vibrancy. And the King of Wands bringing leadership. So the wands overall as a suit are the alchemical element of fire. So this is going to be the suit that we look at whenever we're looking for passion, drive, aggression, motivation, movement, momentum, travel, really more of like the spiritual lessons that are kind of coming to us in our lives. And as you can see, a lot of these words are more of like the creative force of nature. We're talking about inspiration, choices, foresight, community, action, standing your ground, recognition, conflict, leadership, vibrancy, passion, enthusiasm, burden, resilience. So we have all of these words to kind of describe each of the individual cards, and they kind of bring their own flavor that may have already been missing from the actual rest of the tarot deck. Now, I know that everyone has a different way of kind of talking as far as like what energy these cards talk about. And to me, I feel like fire is very much summer vibes. So whenever I'm looking at like timing for the wands, I think of it as like these are very much summertime because it is fire. It is quick. I almost look at their energy as like days. This is something that's just going to happen very quickly, come in very swiftly, very hard to kind of manage and control once the process is started. And that is very much the energy of the wands. Now, wands, because they are the element of fire, they rule over the astrological symbols or signs of the fire element. I can't talk today. And so we're going to talk about, Sagittarius, Leo, and Aries. These are the 3 fire signs in astrology. So the entire suit really focuses on them. So, I really like this deck because it has the actual like Golden Dawn tradition astrological influences and assignments for these cards. So we have Mars in Aries for the 2 of Wands. And if you're someone who's like also using astrology in your readings, this is very beneficial to kind of add an extra layer, so to speak. So, I mean, like right now we're seeing the 2 of Wands. Well, Mars just moved into Aries not too long ago. So we're kind of, and I've been kind of pulling a lot of this 2 of Wands, and I'm like, what is happening here? But it makes sense. So when I think of Wands energy and how it shows up in a reading, I feel like that is where we're going to start to see progress. That is where we're going to see a person's maybe drive or what is motivating them, as well as a sense of momentum. And I really enjoy that these cards really focus on the lighter kind of aspects of being a person. It's not quite so heavy as the energy of like the swords, which we just recently talked about. And I just think it's great to have something that has so much enthusiasm and passion and that vibrancy and leadership. And I love that for the court cards, they're very much described in that way, with the page kind of giving us this like sense of, oh, I'm so enthusiastic about this next phase. I'm so excited to kind of get out there and see something different. And the same thing with the Knight of Wands, where it's very much about passion. What is driving you? What is, what are you willing to fight for? What messages about what you're creating is kind of coming out there? And so if you've been feeling a little bit stagnant or stuck, to receive a Knight of Wands, it's kind of saying like, hey, you got to make a quick decision. Like, this is very much about kind of getting out there and addressing the challenges that are showing up. The Queen of Wands is essentially, to me, like very much this vibrant mover and shaker. She's here to kind of be very magnetic and bring this beautiful kind of energy to things. And it is very much this like, it's fire, it's warmth, it's joy, so I think it's very much bringing a different quality that maybe, whenever we look at each of the suits on an individual level, we can see why there is a little bit of everything in the tarot deck. And then the King of Wands is very much, he's holding all of the energies of the rest of the court cards, or at least in the same suit. That kind of helps us inspire that sense of like leadership within ourselves and someone who's like ready to take charge and initiate, which I know for some of us, we tend to struggle with that. And so I think that having, excuse me, a reading with a lot of wands may reflect a need to start making some sort of, or taking some sort of active step into what it is that you're trying to do. I think that it is very much about clarifying whatever it is that you've been holding back on. And it can be very much this energy of just get started. Let's just go. We'll figure it out as we go. So I know that for some people looking at the images, it can be a little bit confusing, especially with like the aces. And I'll talk more about like the numerological influences of things in another video that I'm going to be making. But I think that by understanding what the suit really talks about, it allows you to kind of connect a little bit more to where it fits into the tarot story. Because tarot essentially is a big story. And so I hope that this kind of helps you feel a little bit more connected to the energy of wands. Like I said, I like to look at it as an energy that is very driven and passionate and fast. It comes in, it, encourages us to kind of get out into the world. So I always try to like connect the energy of wands as like travel as well, because I feel like it's getting us out of like our space. And as we can see, a lot of the figures, it's like none of them are really home. They're out in the world, versus some of the other figures like the pentacles, where a lot of them are like in their garden or around their church. So they're much more like involved in their community. And here we see they're almost like out in nature and kind of going out into the world. They're on their way to something. So when I think of wands, and whenever I see a reading with a lot of wands, I feel like this is someone that is going to be very driven, very passionate, that maybe is trying to reignite that fire within themselves, or just has like a natural inclination for kind of being a little bit more of an explorer. So I hope that helps you understand how the wands suit can kind of help us navigate certain stories in our tarot readings. And I just want to say thank you so much for letting me do these videos and show up in this way. So have a good one. Take care, stay safe, and as always, make good choices. Bye.